This storied house has seen some of the game's greats. Boz, Bradford, Peterson, and Stoops. Welcome, everyone, to Norman, Oklahoma, and the Palace on the Prairie, home to the Oklahoma Sooners. We believe we've got a great one in store today, and we've got a team that makes it into the top 25. Now when you go on the road, that's when you prove you belong. You think the fans are ready for this one? The booth's shaking underneath us, guys. Now they'll run the draw. They'll rip off 8 on that play. It's 2nd and 2. Sometimes people say, if you're good enough, what's the big deal about going on the road? Well, if you're not careful, you might find out in a spot like this one, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is a hostile environment, and you know you're going to be getting the opponent's A game for this one. They've circled this one all offseason, so they better be ready to bring it today, Dave.
And the hardest thing to do in college football is to go on the road. Everything about it changes, and you want to shut this crowd up early. You don't want to give them
open runway ahead. He will step out of bounds, but not before the big pickup and a first down for this offense. This crowd, full throat, spreading the eardrums and letting him know it's going to be a long day. He's brought down, but not before he turned that into a positive play and picked up a few on the run. They'll line up for a 2nd down play. The give on the inside. They get him on the ground, but not before he gets enough for the first down. This crowd knows when to bring it. Right back to the well. They make the stop after a pickup of 3. Ball's at the 18.
All right, well, the offense here, they're trying to get this run game established.
The party is now officially the party of the low propensity voter, and this is a fascinating development we're going to talk about. So the low propensity voter, or the low POP voters, it's sometimes referred to, is exactly what it sounds like. These are voters that are maybe a little bit less politically engaged. They might not pay as close of attention to politics. So they show up for the bigger, more publicized elections, like presidential elections. But when it comes to smaller elections, they're kind of more hit and miss. Midterm elections, they're kind of more hit and miss on. And then when it comes to like local elections or special elections, they almost never turn out for those. Now, for the last few decades, in fact, for almost my entire life, the Democratic Party had been the party of the low propensity voter. This kind of reached its height in the Obama years when Obama was such a cultural phenomenon. That he really inspired a lot of people who weren't normally engaged in the political process to show up and vote for him when his name was on the ballot. When Obama's name wasn't on the ballot, Democrats really suffered at the ballot box because the low propensity voters weren't showing up in these off elections. Well, all that has shifted recent years, and it's now the Republican Party that is the party of the low propensity voter. This is not only borne out by recent election results, it's also borne out by data. When it comes to election results, it's really hard to deny. Like, the Republican Party did incredibly well in the 2024 presidential election. Pretty much every voter demographic, as well as every state, shifted to the right. Although Republicans have also been struggling in midterm elections as of late. And in special elections, they're getting absolutely wiped out. These are telltale signs of the party that is the low propensity. Well, believe it or not, there is some good and some bad to being the low propensity voter party. Your people, or at least a bulk of your voters, are less politically engaged. They're not paying as close of attention. They're not reliably going to show up for you every single election. You've got to spend a lot of time and effort to turning them out to vote for you. And even if you spend a lot of time, effort, and a ton of money to turn them out, there's still no guarantee that they're going to show up for you. This leads to these incredibly back and forth elections where you'll get creamed in one election and then you'll do really well in the next election again. This is the problem the Republican Party's have. But there are some advantages to being the low propensity party as well. When you are the low propensity party, it means there's something about your movement, something about your party or what's going on in your party that is sort of capturing the spirit of the electorate at large. A larger portion of the electorate than the people that normally are engaged in politics. It's a really good sign for your movement or for your party because it shows you're bringing new people in, you're attracting new people in, you're growing as a movement. But the problem is you've got to have some sort of infrastructure or some sort of plan to try and convert this new blood, these new voters, into more reliable, consistent, long-term voters for your movement. This isn't easy to do. It's incredibly difficult. The Democrats struggled with it back when they were the party of the low propensity voter. And Republicans are really struggling with this now, especially because their local, statewide organizations' party infrastructure is just completely decimated. Now, if you're the Democratic Party and you are the party of the high-propensity voter, similarly, there is good and bad. The obvious good is the results we've been seeing with the Democratic Party. The voters that they have are engaged. They are showing up. They are going to show up rain or shine. It does not matter the election. They're going to show up in force, which means you're going to pick off a lot of these smaller special elections and congressional elections that not as many people are paying attention to, but are still incredibly important to the daily political operations of the country. The downside to being the high-propensity party is the question of, like, why are you not drawing more people into your movement? You definitely have your core people that are showing up, that are informed, they're reliable, they know when elections are happening, they're showing up in force, but your movement isn't necessarily growing. When there's a higher turnout election, you're not on the winning end of that. Why is that? What is it with your movement that is not necessarily drawing people in, at least not at the same rate as your opponents? And when we look at the upcoming 26 midterm, it's going to be really interesting to see how these two play out. Is the Republican Party going to be able to figure out an infrastructure and an organizational ground game to turn out some of these low propensity voters that showed up in the 24 election but didn't show up in the 22 midterms, isn't showing up for the special elections? Can they turn them out for a more decentralized 2026 midterm when there's no Trump on the back? And for the Democratic Party, can they start to address some of their internal structural problems that are turning off some of the voters that have been with them for a long time and are pushing some newer voters towards the Republican side? Can they fix that? Because if they fix that, they've already got the far more advanced infrastructure and organizing power to actually beat Republicans from an organizational standpoint. They just need to figure out how to attract new voters into their movement, and that's what they need to figure out. At the moment, we're not really seeing either party make inroads in the direction that they need to be moving, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the midterm turns out next November. The Republican Party is now officially the party of the low propensity voter, and this is a fact.
Yeah, pay-per-view is definitely different nowadays because of the streaming services. And like, what do you mean though? You still have to pay for it. 90% of people don't. It's so easy to stream it. You go www. Fucking enter the link. Boom. It's right there. It's so easy. So what I mean here is that you've seen a difference from when you were fighting when it was just on, direct TV to where you're fighting on ESPN.
With the quarterback there, being patient, allowing his receivers
I've only got pay-per-view since it's been the ESPN Plus model. My first pay-per-view was with Cheeto. Yep. And then the second fight, second fight after Aljo. Yep. It did really well. Like, I think that was probably the biggest bantamweight, UFC bantamweight fight. So that did really well, and I definitely saw a good size check from that. But even then, it's like that so many people just watch it on the website, on the link. That's just so easy. So
and he was drilled just as he released the pass. It's incomplete.
The pay-per-view model is dying. I think, especially with them talking about moving to Netflix or moving to somewhere else. I don't know if the pay-per-view model is going to be there as much as it was back in the day.
And he can't escape, and down he goes.
That was the time.
Running out of time here in the first half. They're going to have to be efficient to put some points on the board before the break.
Yeah, pay-per-view is definitely different nowadays because of the streaming services. And then, like,
he hurls one deep down the left side.
Have to pay for the view. 90% of people don't.
What's your message to fathers of America right now?
Run them a little bit tough. You have to be a little bit tough with it sometimes. If you're not tough on your kids, they might become a little bit. Dad, I may be a fucker, but at least you didn't raise anything.
They're going to throw it to start
this
the
Trump
drive.
Father's Day card is 30% off right now, so if you want to get one, I'm going to put a link at the bottom of the video.
What's your message to fathers of America?
Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. To the air on first down. Catch in the middle, it's McMahon. They make the stop, but this passing game does some damage, and they move the sticks with the first down.
On brand risk.
Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs.
Obviously.
So he's down to fight, like 100%. He already does jujitsu. Yeah. And I'm with him right now. No, he's dead ass down. So if you just whatever fight, you see a few weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, whenever you do, we'll set up like a few weeks. I was saying, let's do like full on MMA.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, but we'll set it up.
Homeboy, whoever, he doesn't give a fuck. I got you a great fight on brand risk. I got you a great.
Here comes his home crowd as the defense tries to get off the field on 3rd down. He'll pull it down and run. And he scoots his way to the 1st down and then slides to avoid the hit.
This Palantir thing is a great measuring stick of whether or not you're actually a conservative.
Everything's easy when it's on time.
Because if you're an actual conservative, you don't have to support this. Let me just say this to any of my fellow conservative traders.
And turn it into a sack. On 2nd down, this keeps fire.
This is just a bullshit way of putting money to Peter Thiel. Let's be real, I don't want involved in anything to do with it. And a massive overreach of the privacy of American citizens. This plan is absolute and total dog shit and should not be supported by anybody who calls themselves a conservative. This is the creation of a database of American citizens' personal information. This is the Patriot Act all over again. Let me just express this very fucking clearly. I do not in any way support this proposal, and anyone who likes to call themselves a conservative and
now 2nd and goal and right in the teeth of this noise. The run up the middle trying to steamroll his way in. They bring him down and he's going to lose a yard on that one.
Man, I was just getting ready to go to bed. I was going to call and tell you good night.
On 3rd and goal.
Nigga, it took me trying to get
And he's sprinting. He'll take it all the way.
God, what you calling me? I want to fucking prove that shit.
On 1st down, here comes this offense.
Good night, nigga.
They're going to open this
say
drive
good night.
with
You got
pass.
sweet dreams. Yeah, you trying to get to
Quarterback now breaking the field. At the 35, he's loose. And the strategy of just letting the quarterback run until he gets tired is not a winning one. Another explosive play and another 1st down.
minding my business. What do you
And
want,
on 3rd
Alexander?
down.
Hey, man, I was just getting ready to go to bed. I was going to call and tell you good night, man.
Man, a nice second effort by the back to break a tackle. But how about those defensive
with that
backs
bullshit.
willing to come up, stick their face in the fan, and make a tackle?
Those are the best run defenses, too, right? It's not just D-linemen and linebackers getting all the plays, but it's DBs.
And they got him. He'll stand down for the sack.
Don't call me, tell me good night. And call your girl.
Receivers telling the quarterback what they see.
Call one of them and tell them sweet dreams.
I
Trying
wanted
to
to
move
tell
the
you
sticks on
sweet dreams.
3rd down through the air. He'll pull it down. They finally get him on the ground, but not before.
I'll pray for you.
Okay. I just thought we was gonna have a moment, you know. That's it.
No, we ain't having a moment. Hell no. You better call somebody else. You gonna call your dad and say that to him? Yeah.
Enough for a 1st down.
You can tell this is a pass play. He has his eyes down the field. He's looking to throw the football.
I bet they make the same meal every day for like 4 years. Yeah. It's eggs with ham in it. Then I'd have a Ensure and my vitamins. And how old were you when you started doing this? 10. So that's when everything started. So not buffalo wings and ice cream. Not buffalo wings and ice cream. So what about candy? You a candy guy? I love candy, actually. Everyone has to have a vice, right? Yeah, that's my vice. Not big into all the other stuff, or do any of that stuff. And so candy was my getaway. Daddy's video game. I bet they make the same meal every day for like 4 years. Yeah. It's eggs. Eggs with ham in it, then I'd have a Ensure and my vitamins. And how old were you when you started doing this? 10. So that's when everything started. So not buffalo wings and ice cream. Not buffalo.
Guys like Cheeto. He's a fucking boy. He's a stand-up guy. Let's not be over here.
They'll try to get it in with the run. He's got it down to the 1 yard line.
At least my dad didn't fuck me.
You've got to leave here in the 4th quarter, and there's certainly still plenty of football to go, but this is where you'd love to control the flow of the game. You want to dictate everything to the defense.
And he takes it to the house.
Pick him up in his face too. I don't let my fuck walk.
A great spot to start this drive for the offense. They'll ride the running back and leave it with him.
And all my fanatics of goats. I just saw this cross in my feed here on TikTok. Look, man, would you drink this? Because we need to start a petition
to get more ghost collabs like this going. And actually, if you're watching this,
guys, they really need to make something happen on this third and long.
But I can't because I'm still so fucking
Now the play
mad.
fake.
Like, I've never seen this before. This has never happened to me before. So 2 days ago, me and my boyfriend went out to get dinner. We went to Flanagan's. So if you're the waitress from Flanagan's who's watching this, just be real fucking lucky that my boyfriend took that because I was about to write you a real fucking sitting at this restaurant, and I'm never the jealous type, right? Because I've never had it happen to me before. I have never once had some kind of girl, like, flirt with my boyfriend in any kind of way, especially in front of her.
They'll come out on this drive and
starts off with when the waitress like seats us down. She doesn't even she's only talking to my boyfriend. Like, she does not look at me once. This continues. So she's taking my order, and she was like, "Okay, what would you like as your side?" And I saw that there was like a potato or something, so I was like, "I'll just have a potato." And then she was like, "Okay, like, what do you want on it?" And then just way too many things. So I was just like, "I'll just have the broccoli."
On the ground, trying to pull the plug
she
on this
goes,
clock. At 45 on his way. Plenty of room on that play, and they find their way to the 36. The analytics nerds say the goal is at least 4 yards on 1st and 10. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs.
Because I was going to get a fucking loaded potato and I switched to broccoli. That's the best thing.
And a good solid pickup there before the defense knocks him down. Got 8 on 1st down, now looking at a 2nd and 2.
Still just like speaking to my boyfriend, not even that.
And he is swarmed under
so there's no place to go. And so as soon as she takes the check away,
here comes 3rd and short from the 27. This defense trying to make them settle for a field goal. He'll be stopped short, picks up 1, but they're facing 4th and 1. This offense believes you are given 4 downs for a reason. You've got to use all of them.
Remake it because I don't know how to remake it that good because she literally like
touchdown Akron.
Literally I fucked him. Like, it was way worse than what I just remade.
Just complete and utter dominance in this one. Outplayed their opponent and took care of business.
Yeah, total domination in all 3 phases of the game. Offense, defense, and special teams. This team came ready to play, and man, it was pedal to the metal right from the opening kickoff.
And that's how you like it. Forget the close games, forget the heartbreakers.
Anyways, that's when I grabbed the pen and I was about to like write her
face, ball game over.
Write her a tip.
That's going to do it for us from here for Jesse Palmer, Dick Pollock, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.